Do you expect him to serve his 3-game ban and to come immediately back into the team? Or do you think Jurgen Klopp is going to have to let him prove himself a little bit more before he feels like he can really trust them in another big game? This video is being sponsored by our friends at Spitch, the best fantasy football manager game on the App Store, bar none. Why is it the best? You don't have to commit to an entire season. You can play individual game weeks if you want, choosing a brand new team every single weekend. Right now, there's a new season mode where you can win up to £50,000, and there's even a free season mode with prizes of up to £2,500. Seasons mode is based on 34 game weeks, and only your best 5 are counted at the end of the season. There's tons of stats and analytics available inside the app to help you choose your team and give you the best chance of winning. If the money and the gameplay wasn't enough to tempt you, how about Jurgen Klopp being an ambassador for Spitch this season? If it's good enough for Mr. Klopp, it's good enough for me. You must be 18 years or over to play. Use our link in the description below to download Spitch and win money with your football knowledge. I just want to bring up Darwin's apology, by the way, because I see a couple of people in the chat mention it. So rough translation of this obviously is, I'm aware of the ugly attitude I had. I'm here to learn from my mistakes and it won't happen again. Good. You can only, take that at face value. He's apologized. Yeah, I have no issues with it. As long as he learns from it, it is what it is.
I'd rather this transparency, really. I like the fact that he's come out and said this. It's not a Bruno Fernandes or Marcus Rashford paragraph. It's just like, I'm sorry, I'll learn from it. We move on, and that's what I want to see. We don't want these this lengthy sort of blah 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 blah. I love XYZ. Like, it's got to be just like, right, we're going to move on from this. I'm going to learn from it, and that's the only way we can sort of evolve as human beings. We all make errors. And yeah, he made a massive one the other day, but look, I don't think it will happen again.
I'd like to see him throw a little line in there, a little bit of banter, something like, the next time I put Anderson on his arse, it'll be because I've turned him inside out.
I hope so. Yeah. What? By the way, I hate to bring the tone down. The abuse that Joachim Anderson's received on social media today is quite unbelievable. 300 to 400 Instagram DMs, threatening, some death threats. Like, it's just disgusting.
I'd love to see any of these heroes go up to the man and say it, because he's a big dude.
Exactly. And I'm sure he posted like 4 or 5 on his actual Instagram story as well. That it's just, I don't know how have we got to this point in culture and society and social media where we actually genuinely think it's okay to do this. It's baffling as a race. Like, why are we this? Why are we like this? I don't understand.
I think the Mike Tyson quote comes to mind again that somebody brought up to me. Too many people have gotten far too comfortable not being punched in the mouth for stuff that they say in social media compared to the real world. You wouldn't say this to anybody in the real world because you'd be laid out. The title of tonight's stream is Nunez to Klopp's basement. Here we go. And I guess that's what I want to know here. Do you expect him to serve his 3-game ban and to come immediately back into the team? Or do you think Jurgen Klopp is going to have to let him prove himself a little bit more before he feels like he can really trust them in another big game?
In an ideal world, Craig, and I'm sure you'll agree, that would be the case. I think, like, in the situation that has happened, he's made a dick of himself, realistically. And we'd have, someone like Diogo Jota to fill in. Now, I'm not sure about his fitness, but I'd much rather play. I think it might be a feeling of necessity to play Darwin Nunez when he comes back rather than of want. I still feel it was a feeling of necessity to play him anyway. Bobby Firmino was terrible against Fulham.
And where was he yesterday, by the way?
It was a precaution, the club said, didn't they?
You know what, mate? I hear that word a lot from our club, and I'm fed up about it. You're either fit or you're not. I immediately, when I heard precaution, I thought, and I've got to be honest, I thought there's probably a chance of a move away for him here or something, and that's why he's not playing.
Yeah. It's a weird one, isn't it? And obviously he was shocking against Fulham. He was abhorrently bad. He was poor. But like, the fact is, it might be a necessity that come the Merseyside derby, which again is going to be a game of high tensions, Darwin Nunez will have to play because he'll have no other option. Now, who knows what will happen with Jota, whether he'll be fit. I believe it's before the international break, so we'll maybe not see Jota for a while. But yeah, what else can we do really? And I'm really intrigued to see how we set up at Old Trafford.
I have an idea. Do you want to hear my idea?
Go
And
on, I want to
I
hear it.
think this is how we should go to Old Trafford. So defensively, probably going to be Gomez and Van Dijk. No issues there. I will say there's an argument for Costas over Robbo because Robbo's been pants. But moving forward, this is what I'd like to see in midfield and attack. A midfield of, I'm going to give you two options. Either Fabinho, Henderson on the right and Carvalho on the left, or Henderson in the 6, Keita to the right and Carvalho to the left. But where I want this to get interesting, Chris, is in attack. In attack, I want Elliott on the right, Salah in the centre, and Diaz on the left, because I feel like that's the best way that we can make up for not having Darwin around. And I don't want Bobby starting the game, even if he's fit. I've got to be honest, I don't. I'd rather have Elliott on the right and Salah to the centre and some other combination in midfield.
It's such a difficult one, isn't it? Like, Jesus Christ, this is what the injuries have come to, and it's a frustrating one. And injuries and discipline, obviously. I don't know really what I would do in that situation, whether I'd have Elliott in midfield or going forward. I'm not sure about Carvalho going forward, so that's probably why I would aim to maybe have Carvalho in midfield.
He was 6 inches away from being an instant hero.
Oh, mate. It was so close, wasn't it?
Like, sometimes, mate, and it happened Lucas Leiva at the very start of his Liverpool career as well, in a Merseyside derby. If that had gone in, everything about today, everything about him, it would have been so different. And I feel for him because he did everything right. He hit it so well.
Yeah, and he came on and did well. I thought all the subs did well yesterday, actually, coming on. And much to people's anger on Twitter, I thought Jordan Henderson had a fantastic game when he came on. Completely changed it. Him, Gomez as well.
I did see some that he only had 2 forward progressing passes or something.
Yeah, but that's not always what you have to do in that position.
So I look, Chris. I'm a Hendo defender, but even I have to say he picked up that ball sometimes and didn't even look over his shoulder. There was 10 yards of space behind him, and he instinctively received the ball and played it off, and it just slowed down everything. Slows down our attacks. We check inside and slow down our own attacks way too much.
See, I thought he sped the game up personally, but I suppose it gave you a different angle as well on TV. So yeah, it might have been that. But yeah, look, I'm not as anti-Henderson as anyone would be. I'm sort of mid-Henderson. I'm not pro-Henderson. I'm not anti-Henderson. I'm just sort of in the middle.
I'm very much pro-Henderson. But yesterday, I've got to be honest, I just felt like he wasn't on the front foot enough. He wasn't looking over his shoulders. You know, an attack-minded midfield player would receive the ball in some of the positions he did, have a little glance over his shoulder, and then move into the space. We weren't doing that. We were getting it, laying it off, and it was just giving Palace more time to set.
I suppose, yeah. But then we did have 10 men. So I suppose that might be a...
We were brilliant with 10. Brilliant.
We were far better, weren't we? Far more intensity, far more drive forward, and that's what I personally thought. But yeah, I'm confused about that midfield. I really am about what I would do. I probably wouldn't play Milner, although I thought he deserved to get the start yesterday. Would you play Carvalho and Elliott in the same team?
Yes, if they're not both in the same area of the pitch. I wouldn't put them both in midfield, but with Elliott on the right, I do think, look, you could make a very valid argument for Keita, of course, as well on the left, but I just think we need something a bit different. And this is going to sound really bad, but it's only United.
Yeah, but I tell you what, they'll be up for that. Surely they have to be up for that on Monday. I think it's going to be a lot more difficult than surely.
Well, I tell you why it's going to be more difficult now, buddy, because we don't have a 6'3", 6'2" centre forward to put up against Lisandro Martinez anymore. That was one obvious tactic we could have gone with.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't know what we'll end up doing, to be fair. It's totally confusing, but I still think we'll have too much for United personally. If we play like we did there with a little bit more conversion, we could have won 3 or 4-0 yesterday, in my opinion. But just the conversion was poor, and that's why I'm not as worried. I'm not as worried as the majority, I would say. And it might be blind optimism, it might be delusion, I don't know. But as long as we're creating chances, it will come.